Hi, everybody. Welcome to another incredible community education panel. I can say in advance, this is going to be an incredible hour together. I am your host and moderator, Lainie Sevante Wulkan, and I'm going to have some of you mute because I'm just hearing some feedback. Just so while we're doing the introductions, and we'll just be mindful of that. I'm not sure where that's coming from. And I just wanted to welcome everyone who's tuning in here and who may be tuning in later. Really important panel that we're here tonight to talk about because we've seen a lot of toxicity in our environment for a very long time, whether it's in our food, whether it's in our water, whether it's in our air or soil, heavy metals, the list goes on. And we're going to be talking about them all tonight with this esteemed panel of very knowledgeable experts who have their own experiences personally, who teach it, who help others with their crafts and their gifts and knowledge and wisdom. And I'm really excited to introduce all of them. So sit back. You might want to take some notes. This is going to be recorded. I know you're going to want to share this with others. And we welcome you here to Living a Life Without Toxins. And we're going to show you and tell you what that's all about. This would not be possible without Camille Leone. So thank you, Camille, and all of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, Leslie, of course, who always make sure all of our tech's in place, and to the whole community of HCC who watch and tune in and share this with others. Our sponsors tonight are Dr. Tracy Diner with Magnitude Jewelry and Linda McBee with Happy DNA Drops. And I have the pleasure of introducing them right now. So we'll start with Dr. Tracy Diner. She is a wellness doctor and a chiropractor for over 25 years. She's also a certified applied kinesiologist, cranial specialist, and has provided high-tech technology treatments to patients for years. Now, she is the co-creator of Magnitude Jewelry, a biomagnetic interchangeable healthy fashion jewelry. We're all modeling it tonight, or some of us are, and she'll tell you more about that. So welcome to the panel. Thank you so much, Dr. Tracy, for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome.
Yes. So do you want to just finish my sentence of what I was starting to say, what Magnitude Jewelry is, and then I'll introduce Linda.
Magnitude Jewelry is an interchangeable biomagnetic jewelry. So this is, as a wellness doctor, I treated patients for years, and we use magnets in my clinic and among other things. And so my partner's an artist, and we created this jewelry, Magnitude Jewelry, that has all of these special healing, healthy magnets. So, and it interchanges, and it's fun. I'm sure we'll get a chance to share with that later.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making this possible. All right. We have Linda McBee from Happy DNA Drops. And by the way, if you didn't know, everybody here are sponsors and members of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. So you're getting a really good idea of what the chamber is all about if you're new to this organization. Linda is a corporate director with APL Go for the last 13 months, as well as being involved in the mental health therapy and a certified med tech for over 30 years. She has had personal struggles with autoimmune disorders, and she did find relief with APL products, which you're going to learn a lot more tonight. Let's welcome Linda McBee.
Well, it's great to be here. I guess I'm not quite sure what else to say here, but
well, you can just give a quick little what APL Go is in a snapshot. We're going to talk more about it tonight, but I just want to thank you for sponsoring and just tell them what's APL Go, because we want to learn all about it.
Sure. So APL Go is a plant DNA botanical that is in the form of a lozenge with 15 different experiences. And I have tried a lot of things in the past, and because of what you'll learn a little later, I would get sick from them all because of this delivery system. This is literally what saved my life from having some autoimmune issues that I had been bedridden from.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to having you share your story. It will be an inspiration to many. Everyone, please meet Karen Stein. She is a certified health coach, a certified Myers detox coach, certified NES bioenergetics practitioner, and a Dr. Sears certified pregnancy health coach. She specializes in HTMA, which is hair tissue mineral analysis, where she has been specifically trained to deeply analyze. She offers lifestyle detox programs, nutrition and health coaching programs, and even preparing for pregnancy health programs, which are all enhanced by the HTMA. Welcome, Karen Stein from Colorado in the snow.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Well, it's great to be here. I also have personal experiences myself with autoimmune and my husband with 5 different types of cancer. That's how I got into this health field, and having to do with clearing toxins out of our life. And the HTMA is actually a hair tissue mineral analysis. So using hair testing to get a view of what's going on and what's being stored away in the body.
Wow. I think this is amazing. And next I get to introduce Deborah Rosenman from New Mexico. So here we are, coast to coast, in between, and just showing the power of technology and Zoom, that we're able to bring everyone together no matter where we are. And again, that's what we do also at Holistic Chamber of Commerce. Everyone, please meet Deborah Rosenman. She is, I love her bio. Deborah is beautifully entangled with nature and spirit as a healer, empath, writer, educator, and workshop facilitator. She traverses the rich terrain. You could tell she's a writer. She traverses the rich terrain of soul, exploring intergenerational trauma, ecological grief, and empathic strain. Deborah founded Voices for Wild Souls and the Concentric Grief Process. She leads clients in grief tending, earth-based rituals, and rewilding practices. She is also the author and editor of the multi-award-winning book, The Chimpanzee Chronicles, Stories of Heartbreak and Hope from Behind the Bars. Deborah Rosenman, welcome to our panel. You're on mute.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I mean, in following what a few other people said here, I too had an experience it's about 25 years ago, where my immune system, I say collapsed, but I don't know what it did, but it went crazy. And I was diagnosed way back then with MCS, multiple chemical sensitivity, also known as environmental illness. And my life took and because of that, I'm doing what I'm doing today. Mm-hmm. Because it affected me physically, spiritually, emotionally. So, I've taken the emotional component of it and looking at emotional health.
Well, that's the perfect segue into our first sort of exploration into living a life free of toxins. We need to first explore where toxins get into our life. And we talked on our pre-panel discussion about the 4 pillars of health. So I thought that Dr. Tracy can start us off, and each one of you can take one of those pillars and just share a little bit more about how toxins or how that pillar is affected by toxins, or anything you want to share on that, because some people don't even know they're adversely affected by toxins unless they're really sick. But there are some telltale signs things are coming, and sometimes there may not be a sign. So we want to share all that with you. So why don't we start about the pillars of health? I know that's been sort of a platform for you, Dr. Tracy, and you can address electrical, and I kind of just go around. And of course, Deborah, you'll do emotional. We'll start with Dr. Tracy.
All right, sure. I mean, as a wellness doctor, you look at the entire body, and as a chiropractor, we look at physical, chemical, and emotional health. That's what I've been teaching and treating my patients with. So I used to be the 3 pillars of health. I actually really think there are 4 pillars of health. There's probably more, but I'm really talking about the 4th pillar, which is electrical health. So even though I've spent my life dealing with all of those pillars, we have this great panel. They're going to take those pillars. I'm going to take the electrical pillar, because in the last 15 years, since we've been having cell phones and routers and Wi-Fi and computers, we are living in a sea of electrical magnetic fields. And I do a lot of research on electrical magnetic fields and how they affect us. And so because of this panel is a toxic panel, a panel on toxins, electromagnetic fields is one of those toxins. And what it does is it affects us at the cellular level. and which is not a good thing. So I don't know, most of you remember your science class, but your mitochondria is what produces energy for your cells to function. Well, the latest research shows that these electrical magnetic fields that are everywhere, you can't live on the planet not be affected, they affect our mitochondria. It's like they take energy away from the mitochondria, so then that cell, wherever the mitochondria is, doesn't function at its optimum, whether it's clearing toxins or creating a liver cell or whatever it's going to do, because it knows what to do. It decreases that energy. It affects the calcium channels, which also affects cells and DNA. It affects the cell membranes, which allows good nutrients in and bad nutrients out. So the electromagnetic fields are the basis of one of these pillars of health that has to be addressed. And so that's why I created Magnitude Jewelry before 5G, knowing 5G was coming, knowing that 5G is 20 times stronger than 4G, and all the research, all this horrible stuff. If you can go to our website, it's all there, not my opinion, it is there. But all of that research was done on 4G, and 5G is 20 times stronger. So my appeal to you as an audience listening is to please educate yourself. I know that we at Holistic Chamber, you are already more educated than the average person, but a lot of people, even chiropractors and wellness doctors, aren't thinking about your electrical health. And it is being stolen away, and you may not even know it because you don't smell it, taste it, touch it. It doesn't, you won't know that it's there, but you wind up having not even overt symptoms, being tired or aches and pains, increases inflammation. And so this is what, and I can get, I don't want to take too much time on my electrical pillar, but so this is an important part that is not being addressed, that I'm actually speaking all over for it to get people aware of this, because you can't be healthy if any of those pillars are down, and certainly electrical health as well.
Thank you for that. So often I hear you in my head when you say, when you go to the doctor, your doctor is not going to say, "Oh, I can tell you have too much EMFs in your system." They're not, that's not the first place you're going to go with.
No, they are not. They are not.
Having this awareness of what everyone's going to share and what you're sharing with electrical health is so vital. So you have to be your own investigator and kind of put two and two together and really take assessment of like what's happening in your life. And you can't do that without having the awareness. So thank you for bringing more to light on the electrical health realm. Thank you. All right, Deborah, well, I'm going to pop back to you. You mentioned emotional, and then I'll switch over to Karen and then Linda. Tell us more about, you said a little bit of your story, but if we're talking about the pillars of health, you mentioned that emotional is one area that can become toxic. What's your viewpoint on that?
Well, we live in a toxic soup. And yes, I mean, absolutely electrical, physical, chemical, and it all affects the emotional. Yeah. And we're also living in, with climate change and political stuff. I mean, it's a mess out there. There's beauty as well, but it's really a toxic soup. And how do we handle ourselves in that? And emotional health is very complicated as well, because, you have trauma. If people are dealing with trauma, which I was, and that really led, actually, this is a little parentheses here, but that really led to me getting MCS, because my immune system was really down and I didn't know it. I thought I was really healthy until I wasn't, until I collapsed. So, working with the emotions is a great way to find our health, but we need to identify what it is we're feeling first, and then have the courage to feel them, to feel the emotions, and then learn how to protect ourselves from their energies. And I don't know if now is the time to talk about that, but I came up with a little practice.
Well, we will circle back on that. I think the emotional health is so strong when we say don't scroll through your feeds, because you're targeted. They know emotionally what sets you off. There's enough done analytical and logarithms to know that you are being I feel my opinion, that things show up in your feed that will emotionally trigger you. And so, same with the news media and all that. So it's important we have practices, and I know you'll share more later on how we can protect ourselves from emotional toxicity, which is like we're being bombarded with it. Thank you. All right, Karen, we're talking about pillars of health. So maybe talk about physical. Hair is physical. You're seeing things. You work in this field extensively. Why don't you share a little bit more on what it may be on that pillar of health on the physical level?
Yes, sure. So in the physical pillar of health, there's basically 4 things that make that up, and that is relaxation, eating, moving, and sleeping. And they're all very important. And if anything gets out of balance in one area, it can throw everything else off as well. And as Dr. Tracy and Deborah were talking about the emotional, that relaxation piece, de-stressing, self-care, because again, like they said, trauma really affects us, stress affects us down to the cellular level. What we eat affects us. And many people think they're eating healthy. There's tons of toxins and metals and pesticides in food. And so being mindful of what we eat, sometimes the people who are juicing and eating what seems to be the healthiest foods are actually getting in the largest amounts of toxins, which are then stored away. The body stores those away in the fat. Some of the fittest people who have the least body fat don't really have a place to store those toxins. And so they go straight to the brain quicker than people who have actually more body fat. And then also another adjunct to that is people who lose weight. When you quickly lose weight, you actually release these toxins that the body has protected you from and stored away. So all those different things all lead to how to deal with these, bind them and get them out of the body, not having them circulating, because that's what the body doesn't want, why it stores them away. The hair testing shows that over 3 months of time, whereas if you do blood work or urine or a stool test, it's only that moment in time, what's circulating in the body or a recent exposure versus what's stored away. And after the fat, it goes to different organs, bones, the brain. So that's a whole nother story there. And then movement too. Everything can be overdone or underdone. So we need to move, but some people need to be mindful not to overdo, because sometimes excessive exercise and things inflame the body, stress the body. And sleep. We all need sleep to function. The brain needs it. If the circadian rhythms are, off, then it can affect every single other part of our life. So there's many different interactions of these areas, but in a quick bit of time, I guess that's, little.
You brought to light so many things. I'm just nodding the whole time going, yep. I was just sharing Dr. Tracy the other day about I had mercury in my mouth. I had a lot of fillings, so I had them all removed. And then I had 7 months of chelation therapy, make sure everything was out. And I had, it was a whole special way they do it. You got to get the right doctor who knows what they're doing. But that, when we're talking about metals in the body, I mean, that's like mercury toxins, ad infinitum. All right. Well, thank you for that. And speaking of that, it kind of leads right into chemical, where Linda could touch more on what does it mean when we're talking about the pillars of health. And we're talking about the chemical aspect. I mean, chemical reactions, chemical systems in the body. Wherever you want to take this, go for it, Linda.
Wow, I have chemical sensitivity. So, I can't handle cleaning products and hairsprays and anything aerosols. All of that causes all of that extra chemicals that we don't always think about. Products that we use on our body and our skin and face and exhaust. I mean, chemicals can just go on and on, but that affects the body and can get caught in the liver and can really create, and medications, a lot of medications, you were talking about dental work, a lot of that can create issues that sometimes people don't think about, and health issues from medical stuff, from medications that they had been on in the past. So just it can just be a hot mess to the body and create all kinds of havoc.
Mm-hmm. No question. Thank you for that. Dr. Tracy, you let's talk about magnitude jewelry a little bit. You talked about EMFs and where does it, how do EMFs and now magnitude jewelry, just so people can make that connection, where's the tie-in so people get a better understanding of how you're fighting the good fight? Oh, you're on mute.
Right. So magnitude jewelry was designed to affect this electrical pillar portion, besides everything that these panels have talked about, physical, chemical, emotional. The electrical health, we live in, as you mentioned, we live in a sea of electromagnetic fields. They're everywhere.
Toxic soup, as Deborah said.
Yes, they are. It is. We live, it's like you have, but you can't get rid of, we know we're not going to get rid of our phones. We know we're not going to get rid of our computers. We know we're not getting rid of they're there. 5G is here. Unfortunately, it is here. We can't get rid of it. So this jewelry was designed to increase our electrical energy. What's happening is the electromagnetic fields, as I mentioned, they pull the energy away from the mitochondria, okay, and the cell membranes and the calcium channels. So this is our basic foundation of our immunity, is that. And if you have 50% function because you don't have the energy, it's like we did a commercial on like driving a car, right? And the car gets pulled, the gas gets pulled out of it. The car's still a perfect car, but because it doesn't have any gas, it doesn't go. So our body's the same way. Our body is these perfect beings, but if we don't have the energy for our cells to do the function that they're supposed to do, then our body starts to break down. And we don't start with disease. Disease comes way down the road. I mean, disease could be 15, 20 years from now. So unfortunately, I'm sorry to hear that all of you have autoimmune disorders, most of you on this panel. I did not, but I've treated lots of it my entire career. So what we do is the law of physics. So I sort of put together reading and research and realized that these electrical magnetic fields, they pull at our energy. I also know that these special magnets that we use, these are biomagnets, they increase our electrical energy. We are electrical beings. So what happens is these magnets, they're laws of physics, Lorentz law, Ampere's law, Faraday's law, these are laws of physics that basically say when you put you put a magnetic field, a strong magnetic field in an electrical field, it increases the electrical energy. So that's the basis of what we're doing with the jewelry and the magnets, is when you put this magnetic field in your electrical field, which is you, it increases that electrical energy, which is being pulled away. So it's sort of like putting gasoline back into the car. And these magnets are known to increase blood flow, which is helping with all sorts of healthy aspects of your body, increasing blood flow so that you heal. They're known to decrease pain. So we actually have special things where you can put them on wherever you need them. We have a pin called Atlas that you can put it specifically near a joint to decrease inflammation. Electromagnetic fields are known to cause inflammation. These magnets are known to decrease inflammation. So you're seeing the 2 + 2 +, so that's what's happening. So you put these in your energy field, they're going to decrease pain. And what you mentioned, Lainie, is one of the first things that most people experience with our jewelry is that they sleep better. So your body's at rest. We also have on the back of our pieces, we have infrared, negative ion, and germanium, which do some other things, the anti-inflammatory, increasing serotonin so our body relaxes, and another infrared which helps increase blood flow again. So they work synergistically. But sleeping, as Karen mentioned, sleeping is also extremely important for healing so that your body can regroup, okay? So most of us, if we're watching TV and we're watching our phones before we fall asleep, or you have that the blue light, it stimulates parts of our brain that actually keep us awake. So that's not good. But the relaxation phase, that you sleep better and you have a deeper REM with these magnets, that's also another research show. So all of these things that I hear from I used to hear from my patients, and now I hear from my customers from Magnitude. And I miss, actually, people ask, do you miss treating patients? Yes, I do, because I like that one-on-one. But I'm going to be helping reaching a tremendous more people than these hands ever could in my clinic. So that's where I get my reward now. And then I have it, I share it. I've decided to do it as a direct sales because I want it in the hands of other people who also care about other people and want to share it. So that's how we did it, rather than having these big box stores have our jewelry, which we were offered, but we chose not to.
Big box stores. I never heard that term. That makes sense.
I'm trying not to say the department store.
I know, but no, big box. Okay. Thank you for that. Well, I hope that for people now can understand when we're talking about 5G, using your cell phone, using your computer, what is happening is that we are bringing toxins, smart homes, smart, I won't name things, but when you're talking little things, you're telling it to turn on your music or turn on your microwave.
I love technology, and I do not have a smart home. The dumber, the better for my home anyway.
Yeah, well, even smart TVs. I don't know. So I thank you for that. All right, let's skip over to Deborah. Let's talk about your company and what you do and how it applies to what we're talking about today. You mentioned a lot. I mentioned in your bio that you do ecological grief, intergenerational trauma. What is rewilding, healing? What's the approach about that you focus on with your clients? Oh, you have to, you're on mute, sweetie.
Sorry. I was working for years with generational trauma. But I shifted. I took off a number of years while I was finishing my book, and animals are such a big part of my world and also of my healing that I just designed my work around what I call rewilding, rewilding our feelings, rewilding our health. And I work with people who have, who are dealing with the loss of an animal. So with ecological grief, animal companion loss, and also people who are just burnt out. Compassion fatigue, which is like a real thing. And now it's called empathic strain.
That sounds like emotional toxicity, if I've ever heard of anything.
Everything comes into our emotions. We can't get away from that. So it's not in this toxic soup. It's not that we're going to get away from anything, but it's just like, okay, how do we meet these toxins? How do we meet this world in the healthiest way that we can? And that's an internal process. I work with people. I've come up with something that I call the grower's response, the grower's practice. And let's see if I can remember it. It's an acronym for grounding our body with breath, and then rooting our bodies like our soma into the earth, and then opening to spirit of the animals or the land or our ancestors, and wilding appeal to nature and her allies, like appealing, can they be with us? So we're not walking alone. And then if it's a longer session, because some of this can be used, like once people learn it in 5 minutes, and you can really go from, I'm freaking out, to being really centered and grounded. But then the E stands for echo mourning our losses. And then R is reverence. This whole thing is a reverence practice, but reverence for a deeper connection with ourselves, and then synchronizing it all with our soul, with ourself, and with all our allies. There's something about nature that's so healing. It's really popular now, the forest bathing, and, it used to be called hiking. And
You're preaching to the choir here with my Walk in the Wild Facebook group. Are you kidding? It's all about that. Hey, listen, if everyone can just put their feet into the ground, whether it's the ocean or the soil, healthy, for 5 minutes, you can feel the energetics of the earth.
I want to tell you, I have the best doctor in the world, and she's an environmental doctor. And when I was so sick in 1999 and finally got the diagnosis, she and I was so allergic, I want to say, to the electrical world out there. I mean, I couldn't even be in a house. I had to live in my car because my car was healthier than homes with their electrical systems. But anyway, she told me, lay on the ground. And now it's called earthing, but just lay on the ground, stay on the ground, let the earth heal you. And, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times and how many hours I have done that myself. So I know I went on a little
all good
there, but
no worries. I'm going to move over to Karen, but thank you for that. No, everything you said is just so valuable and really received. All right, Karen, tell us more about HTMA. I think that may be new to some people, maybe not in the holistic communities, but certainly the mainstream audience didn't even know that your hair can tell you things. So let's talk a little bit about everything you do. You have a combination of different talents, but how do you work with your clients in HTMA and everything else you do?
Yeah, so basically the HTMA is just the tool. And before, I was doing this for years and years before I ever started using HTMA, but I like to say test, don't guess. And so we all know that we're exposed to all these different toxins and heavy metals, and there are definitely things that we can do for each one. But if we don't really know what we personally have, then we're kind of just, it's kind of like taking tons of supplements or, a huge multivitamin that maybe you don't need, or maybe you have too much of something, because it looks at minerals in the hair, not just heavy metals. And in those different mineral ratios, you can look at different body systems like adrenal fatigue and hormones and thyroid, and seeing if like electrolytes are out of balance. So there's a lot of information that can be gleaned from the hair mineral analysis. And again, as I mentioned, it's holding this information over 3 months period of time in the hair. But it's really then just, once we identify specifically for each person what's going on with them, creating different protocols, or like being a detective, also trying to find out where is that coming? Where are you getting that from? Is it in your water? Is it in your air? Is it in something you're eating? Something you're putting on your skin, in the shower? What do you need to do for those?
All the above.
Yeah. And so, and some of my clients have really crazy, strange symptoms that they've been everywhere. They've been to every doctor. They've tried everything, and nobody can really know what these things are. And heavy metals and toxins can cause all kinds of crazy symptoms, phantom, just weird pains and numbness, tingling, sleep issues, gut issues. I mean, just endless amounts of things that when you start to clear these out of the body, people really feel better. And so again, it's not something in and of itself that's the end all be all, but it's just a tool in the toolkit to kind of address each person's needs and come up with a plan, for them individually. And it's been a really very, very helpful tool.
You mentioned multivitamins, which a lot of us take. Do you find that a lot of times that people end up needing to kind of get off multi and then get more specific, or
Yes.
in your opinion?
Well, you can have too much or too little of anything. And vitamins, so the hair will show minerals. Vitamins are shown in the blood, and minerals share receptors with heavy metals. So when you're deficient in minerals, the heavy metals and also molds, toxins, other things have the ability to come in and take hold. When you remineralize the body, balance those mineral levels, that in and of itself starts to push out the heavy metals. The body will also use those heavy metals for whatever process it would normally use that mineral for. If it's going to repair the arteries, or it's going to go, like lead would be taken to the bones, to the teeth, your body will use whatever is there because it's going to do what it needs to do. And so when people do blindly take things like anything, I mean, you can take too much vitamin C, too much B, too much vitamin D, but you can take too many minerals. And a lot of multivitamins also have copper in them, which can be very toxic if you have too much. Iron, other things that where these things get out of balance, it has, you know, a negative effect on the body. So nothing really should be done blindly. And many people just take much more than they really need. You know, you want to just get the body into balance. It's not something that the goal is to be taking 100 supplements every day. So
Sure. And educated on water soluble, fat soluble, and how everything works together. Super important. Thanks so much. All right, Linda, let's talk about your background, because you overcame some severe challenge with the products that you're on, and maybe just share a little bit about what you're doing and how it's made a tremendous life-saving impact for you in your life and your health.
Sure. I probably started around age 11 or 12 with autoimmune issues. I actually may think that it was Lyme back then, but it was misdiagnosed all my life. And as a result of that, I've experienced many health issues that had to do with the gut, from parasites to IBS, chronic fatigue, Wilson syndrome, pretty much you name it. I struggled with it. Doctor after doctor, no solutions. I live in Maryland. I've gone to New York to see doctors. I've gone to San Francisco, traveled all over the United States to try to find answers. And about 7 years ago was when I was finally diagnosed with Lyme. Probably about a year and a half prior to that. I was sick at least once a year, maybe twice a year growing up. It got to the point where about every 3 or 4 months, I was ending up at the doctor's on antibiotics. And that's when a good friend of mine that could literally sit for his doctors, but hadn't, said, I think there's something else going on. And he said, there's someone I want you to go see. And he was so funny because then he'd say, I want you to bring me all the prescriptions, because it was a sister-in-law who went to this doctor, but I don't know what he's going to prescribe, and I want to make sure it's okay. And so I came back with all the lists, and he's like, you can fill every one except this one. And it was a sleeping medication, which I didn't really have trouble sleeping, that could have caused massive health, side effects from that prescription, and started on antibiotics and immediately realized that, yes, I had Lyme disease, and was on antibiotics for 3.5 years straight. And at that point, I had tried some other supplements, but again, because everything that I swallowed that went through my digestion, my body rejected. I would be sick in one form or another. It wouldn't matter if it would be powder. And so 14 months ago, when APL came along, one of our products is multi-spectrum that can kind of be one of the ones that can be swapped out for a daily, but
a daily multivitamin?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it addresses the gut. And the more and more I realized that the gut and the brain, Karen touched on it, it's just connected. Mm-hmm. Our drops are a negative ion that is, and so we actually have a centrifuge that replicates thunderstorms, and we pull the DNA from the plants to then formulate. And the sugar is molasses and beetroot. So it's all natural, so that as it absorbs, it moves quickly to repair the DNA in the cells. And within 15 seconds, the body says, oh, that's what my cell should be, and begins to repair it. And I immediately began to see results. And now, who do I tend, because of my mental health background and my as a certified med tech, the people that tend to come to me are people with autoimmune issues. So I get to share my story and walk along and kind of go, oh, so did you have this? How can I help you there? And so that's a little bit about my personal experience. I am a certified Theta Healer practitioner as well, and just really incorporating many aspects of past healing because of some trauma I experienced in my life, and want people to be unstuck.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that can be that cause of why they're not moving forward. And that can cause massive health issues as well.
So the world's first ingestible negative ion is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing. Thank you for that. Well, most people know, if they don't, that I'm the co-author of the Food Healing Oracle deck. So I take food as such a sacred part of our wellness plan. And that begins with the soil. And as Karen mentioned, which really got my ears perking, I juice every day. Oh, I blend. Okay. There's a difference between juicing and blending. Juicing extracts all the beautiful fiber. We're blending, you get the whole kit and caboodle. But what you are blending is essential, that it's clean, that it's organic, that it doesn't have all the layers of pesticides. So that was such a really powerful point to hear. But no matter what we're doing, we have to feed the body temple and start with toxin-free food. And so what that looks like to you is, local and many other ways. But I just wanted to know if anyone else wants to touch on foods and how important. I think we all know it's important, but that I just want to, if people are wanting best practices, did we lose Karen? Oh, she'll probably pop back in. If we have to look at where do we start, it's definitely inside the body with how many times. I mean, I eat 6 times a day. Other people eat 3 times a day. Whatever it is, it has to start there because there is so much, right? Mercury-free fish and anything like that. But does anyone want to talk on food before we move on?
I would like to touch really quickly because our drop has 88 superfoods in the products. So that's really critical. And the certifications that we have over 30 certifications. And so that keeps it really powerful. Our drops, the machines aren't heated above 80 degrees. And so that's critical for people who are vegan because it doesn't kill the food and the ingredients that are in it. And it's all whole foods.
Awesome. Karen, when you popped out, we were just, never mind. Dr. Tracy or Deborah, do you want to say anything about foods? And then we're going to move on to something else. Just
really quickly, I've been, teaching the nutrition aspect of my patients for years. And way back when I used to do a lecture and I would ask people, it was a simple thing. What do you think the amount of nutrients that you had, if you had a bowl of salad in 1950, the nutrients that you had in that bowl of salad, how many bowls of salad would you need to eat to have the equivalent of those nutrients in, say, 2000? And I used to have them guess and give them a prize for whatever. I mean, it was the answer was 20. So literally we are having our nutrients stripped from our food. So even if you eat what you think is very healthy food, it's still going to be stripped because the soil doesn't sit and it doesn't have enough time to gain back those minerals and nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's what the big fight is with pesticides and Monsanto and anything else that is creating havoc before we even get it into our system. So Karen, you popped out a couple of times, but we were just reiterating about the essential of food. And if anything, Deborah was going to say something, and then Karen, if you want to respond. Deborah, what were you going to say real quickly? I can't believe the time is flying. Go ahead.
I think it's really been said, but I mean, there's just food is medicine. Mm-hmm. Food really is medicine. And today that people don't know this is just mind-boggling to me. So, all the crap that you have in the grocery stores and I mean, people eating in the fast food, I mean, they're still doing it. People are moving away from meat, but even some of those plant-based, and I don't eat meat, are just not good. They have proponents in it that are not really healthy for everybody. So, but we have to look at our own bodies and really see what it is. And as Dr. Tracy's saying, then we have to supplement. And I just want to say, back in the 50s, that lettuce was just like iceberg.
Yeah.
We didn't have good lettuces.
No, and it still had some good nutrients. Yeah, not iceberg.
You know, I got my degree in food science a long time ago. I just think about even back then, the things that we were studying in the food chemistry classes and looking at how poorly things were then. And then here we are all these years later, things have not improved. And we look about the situations with bees and the colony collapse disorder. I mean, it goes on and on. Karen, were you going to just touch in about food real quickly?
Yeah, I don't know. Twice I tried to unmute and I got kicked out. So I might have missed, I hope I'm not repeating what anybody else said, but food is medicine, but it's really important to know that also it has to be the right kind of food grown the right way, but also you have to be able to digest it. And you can eat the best diet, go buy everything organic and perfect. And I mean, this is a little bit what Linda was touching on with her product too, but if your gut is a mess, then you're really actually not going to be able to get the nutrients in food. That is another thing, by the way, I can see on the hair analysis is gut malabsorption issues. But, kale, which is so healthy, has thallium in it. And carrots, sweet potatoes have lead. That's in the ground. Cilantro, mint. A lot of people are using cilantro so many times. There's these smoothies and they do these detox things, but that's a mobilizer. That's pulling all the metals and toxins out, but you have to bind them. Otherwise, they're just going to be reabsorbed by the gut, or they're going to go to the brain, or as I was saying before. So food can be wonderful. There's arsenic in rice, as many people know, but chocolate. So you just need to know it kind of goes back to those pillars of health and the balance. You have to not overdo things. And if you're juicing or you're blending, you're breaking down the cell wall. So it's going right into the bloodstream, especially with juicing. And if you're juicing things that have chemicals and pesticides and toxins, those are going directly into the bloodstream. So juicing can be very healthy, but at the same time, if you're not doing it the right way, you're better off not to do that, because that's definitely not good for you. So there's a lot of different layers to this and ways to look at it. And it's a piece of the puzzle, I think. But I think that there's a bigger puzzle. And again, I think a good balance and not overdoing any one thing. Of course, eating healthy and eating good food is really important, but it isn't the only thing. And you don't know how much you're actually absorbing.
Really good points. And by the way, if there's anyone watching who may have questions for our panelists, make sure you put in the comment section. Karen, you would love the Food Healing Oracle deck specifically because our cilantro card, the word associated with it is confusion. I think we got that one right. I think we got them all right, but that's really because there's a lot of confusion around cilantro. We'll talk about another time. All right. So as time ticks on here, Karen mentioned a lot of them, and maybe Dr. Tracy, you can touch on more, and Deborah and Linda. Is there more signs that we're having toxic and a toxic overload or toxicity in our body? So go ahead, Dr. Tracy, and then maybe whatever hasn't been mentioned yet, let's mention all of them so people can have the awareness. There's many different outlets. For
sure. And actually, we had talked about this and we all got together last time about this meeting. And I used to talk about to my patients. Toxins, if you look at the body like a bucket, right? So you have this bucket that fills up like little droplets of water, and your body a healthy body can adapt, right? That's the sign of a very healthy body's adaptability. And as you get sicker over time and your body can't adapt, we start to break down and eventually you have overt disease. Well, I look at the body the same way. So you have these little droplets of toxins. You're breathing smog and you're eating carrots that have lead and you're emotionally traumatized, right? So you have all these things that are just like, and your body's like trying to adapt. And finally you're up, you can't breathe anymore. And that last little drop's like overflows. Okay. And that's where we get sick. So what I wanted to share was keeping the concept. So getting rid of being able to maybe siphon some of that water out by taking some of the nutrition that you should be having, or getting your gut lining so that it can help heal from the inside out, taking the electrical magnetic fields away. So that's where I think all of us come together to try and bring that level down, because we're never going to get rid of all of it. And you know, you got to live, but at least you can bring it down so that your body adapts, and you can adapt and lead a healthy life with all the overt disease. And the other thing I'll say real quickly is where we see that these are affecting us is inflammation is in every disease known basically to man now. Okay, and first off, electromagnetic fields, one of the main things that they do is cause inflammation. But every part of our body is being affected, whether it's, you know, atherosclerosis, heart disease, cancers. All of these have an inflammatory puzzle or part of it. And these toxins are affecting all of that. So as you see, we're eating poorly. It's sort of the circling the drain, right? So we're getting worse and worse and worse, and we're eating poorly, and then we're getting sicker, and then you're taking more medications, and then you're eating more. It's like, meow. So that's where all of us are trying to unwind and educate and try and help people bring back up to counteract all of these, all the types of toxins that we're talking about.
Aho. I mean, yeah, I mean, like, what else are you going to say? Linda or Deborah, do you want to add to anything that Dr. Tracy just shared or Karen did prior about other things that we might not? I know there's brain fog, but there may be other things. We talked a lot about them, but I'm sure there's a few more.
I just want to say from an
Deborah,
emotional,
and then Linda, go ahead.
From an emotional standpoint, I mean, I think it's always good to assess where the heightened emotions are coming from. You know, is it coming from trauma? Is it coming from your body? If it is coming from your body, meaning you're not feeling well, and you don't when you're, you know, highly emotional and in a lot of emotional toxicity, you feel depressed. So you have to just differentiate. But, you know, it's the same thing if you have problems sleeping, and if you're feeling sort of flat and you can't focus with brain fog, and, you know, you got to look at your house and see what you're living with, you know, what's surrounding you, and take it from there. Meaning, you know, maybe there's mold, maybe there's EMFs, maybe there's just so many components that actually affect the emotions.
Sore joints, you know, lots of things. Thank you for that. Linda, do you want to touch on anything before we wrap up?
Sure. We're sitting in front of computers more, a lot of that. And so I'm seeing, working with a lot more people that have anxiety, headaches, trauma. They may be dealing with losing a job, the situation that we're in requiring a lot of things that you might not want to, headaches, and of course trauma that can cause pain, and that's all around the inflammation. A lot of stomach issues. It just can go on. Just be aware, the people that are listening, if there's a change at all in what you were doing, begin to document some of that, because it can just be stress, and stress shows up in different ways with each of us. And some people have gotten really healthy during this time, and some people haven't. They've gained a lot of weight, and maybe sitting more than they're used to. And so, of course, all of that can be factors in having our hair not look what it used to, and have Karen show us some things that we're probably deficient in that we weren't aware of before. So
I'm so getting my hair analyzed by Karen. You can be sure of that. Thanks, Linda. All right. Well, as we wrap up here, it's been an amazing hour that just flew by in like a blink. Why don't we? And so we talked about all the ways that we can notice or have the awareness of toxins in our life. And these ladies have some solutions and some support, many different ways. And I'd love for them to kind of wrap up with some final thoughts and special offers, anything they want to share with the audience now, or who may be watching this later. I know a lot of you watch this later. Thank you for that. And why don't we start with you, Karen?
Okay. So in listening to everybody, I think a big takeaway here is we heard stress over and over again. And that is one thing that I think I'd like people to really take away from this, is not feeling overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, I have to filter my water and filter my air and change the way I eat and do all these things. But it's really that I like to tell people, every single thing you do, every single thing, every chemical you take out, every cleaning product you switch out, every getting a water filter, getting a shower filter, or whatever it is that you do, it's that bucket that Dr. Tracy was talking about. Is you bring down those toxic levels, you're helping yourself. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't necessarily have to be stressful. And it doesn't have to be expensive either. Some of the things are very easy, and you can make a huge difference in your life without really going through a lot of stress and a lot of pain. And if you try to do everything with just diet or everything with just exercise, that can be very stressful, and that can be very limiting, or people just feel denied or whatever. But there's so many other things. That's why I talk about that puzzle, and there's so many other pieces to this puzzle that are very easy to implement, and they help bring down that overall toxic body burden, and then your liver can function. And then the kidneys can function, and we address the gut and all these different pieces. And so it isn't to come away with this feeling stressed that, oh my gosh, I have all these toxins around me, or I have all these things I need to do. You just doing anything you heard today, taking away and implementing, you've started to reduce that, and you've done something good for yourself.
Bravo. Any special offers you are wanting the audience to know about?
Yes, if anybody wants to contact me, I guess you'll be sending out our websites, but my website is gohealthywithkaren.com. And if anybody, I have a contact form there, or you can see ways to contact me there. I'll offer a free 20-minute introductory call if you want to learn more or talk about any issues that you have going on. And if you do my basic package, I call root of the issue package, like your root. And I will also give you a free pound of my CBD detox bath salts, as well as the consultation.
Sounds good to me. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Karen. Dr. Tracy.
Yes. So one thing actually I haven't mentioned, and I like Karen, that they don't have to be expensive solutions. Very simply, one of the simple things: never put a phone up to your ear. Keep your routers in rooms that you're not in. Real quickly here, I have a 5G, the good, the bad, and the ugly talk, which is on my YouTube channel, and a bunch of great information there that can help you. Just changing out your simple things in your house don't cost you anything. Just the way you do things, or where you put your routers and that kind of thing. Never put it, use earbuds. So those are simple things that you can do. Our jewelry, Magnitude jewelry, is very affordable. It's surgical stainless steel. We've made it affordable for everybody. I mean, our typical bases are, $50 or something. So everybody can afford to wear our jewelry. If you go to Magnitude Jewelry with an E, magnet, right? magnitudejewelry.com, till the October 31st, with every $75 purchase, you get a free Halloween tood or fall tood. And starting November 1st, we're going to go into the holidays. Whatever it is that you celebrate, there's a tood that you can actually get for free along with our jewelry as well. So that's just a simple way to do that. And I would urge you to actually use all of us, because it is all of these things simply can change your life.
Beautiful. You mentioned, I just want to clarify for the audience, earbuds. Can you explain what those are, so people aren't confused?
Yeah,
what goes in the ears.
Not the iPhone ones that go in your ear, the white ones that everybody thinks are really cool, which actually send electromagnetic fields nonstop into your brain. No, what I'm talking about is an air tube. From your ear to about here is air, because air does not conduct electricity. Wires do, copper does. So when you have the typical earbuds, those do conduct electricity from your phone to your brain, but the air tubes don't. They actually have a stopgap. So you've got about a foot, and distance is your friend with electrical magnetic fields. The further you are, the severe drop in how much exposure you get. So that's what I'm talking about. The air tube earbuds.
Perfect. Thank you. I just want, that's so important. So I just want to make sure we indicated what that
And
was.
don't ever hold a phone up to your ear. And please don't put a phone in your bra. And men, don't stick a phone in your pocket. That's, your heart's electric. So is the phone. It affects you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Good information. Deborah and then Linda.
I just want to say I'm so wowed with everybody, what everybody's sharing. Thank you. I think I'm going to personally give a call to everybody for some help. You know, I didn't even talk about like what the emotions are. I mean, we didn't talk about thoughts, like toxic thoughts, you know, or anger, yeah, there's so much here to talk about.
We'll need another panel, believe me.
The key is learning how to transmute those energies of toxicity in our emotions. And it's a whole nother thing with, you know, mindfulness in nature. But I think that's all I want to say. I mean, if we can stop these toxic thoughts that we have, and separating that from, you know, the deep emotional trauma stuff, wow, we'd have so much energy freed to be creative and productive and feel good in our bodies. So, so yeah, if anybody would like to talk to me about a session, I'd be happy to talk to you for 30 minutes, and that would be free consultation, so you can just see what it is I'm up to and see if where you are in your life and see if it'll be a good fit.
Beautiful. Thank you. Wonderful. All right, Miss Linda.
Well, we have 15 different experiences. What are you struggling with? We probably have a drop for that. Let me send you a sample. They taste like a lifesaver. It's a nutraceutical line. It's a dietary supplement. So taste it and see if you like it.
I've had them. They're very tasty. I have to remember they're not candy because they're so good, but they don't hurt you. All right, Linda.
I
So
overdosed on them, so that's the good thing.
how do they reach you, Linda? Is there an easy way to reach you?
Yes, if you go to happydnadrops.com, there's a little bit of information about the science and a little bit more. You can fill in that information. That goes directly to me, no one else. And then I can follow up with you and get you within that. It says request a sample.
Excellent.
But, awesome.
Well, on behalf of the Food Healing Oracle deck and my partner, Joanna Salerno, my partner in produce, we're very passionate on the food end. I agree with Dr. Tracy and what everyone else has said. It's a holistic approach that all of us look at all the different ways. Karen mentioned that, made that point clear too. Our approach is from the food end. So highly recommend you check out our deck, which is full of nutrition and more enlightened advice on messages of why you're craving certain things or what your body may be missing or what is needed for you at this time in your life for what we call emotional, mental, physical, spiritual wellness, EMPS wellness. So I'd like to offer 20% off. You can use the code HCC20 at foodhealingdeck.com. Ladies, this was amazing. I am with Debra that I was wowed and in awe of all the information that was shared. I hope the audience who watched this and will continue to watch this after this and share it to far and wide, loud and proud, got something out of this as well. Such valuable information as we move into the holidays where there's lots of maybe overindulging and some toxic partying that you think a little bit, take that pause to reflect on this panel and some of the information that was shared. And thank you to Camille Leone and thank you to Leslie again for allowing this platform to share our members' expertise. We'll have another panel next month. Every month will be announced. If you want to become a member, we highly recommend it. It's a great global group now in several countries. You can go to holisticchamberofcommerce.com. Ladies, stay on with me. I thank everybody else. Have a blessed rest of your evening.